The show you're about to listen to is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised. This week's sponsor is toilet paper. Hey man, wipe that shit off. Toilet paper. 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Hi and Hello. I'm debating on these intros. Like, they're kind of nice for bringing people in, but honestly, it's just the same shit I'm about to do anyways when I start the conversation with the person. So, I might just start letting it roll without an intro. We'll think about it. I still don't have music because honestly, I don't really want music. I don't know why. What's it really gonna do? Get your heart rate going? Like, why do we need music at the start of a conversation? That doesn't happen in real life. You're never walking up to somebody and bumping their shoulder and then a little intro plays before you speak to somebody. Welcome to the real world. On this week's podcast, I bring in my friend Madisen, and we talk about all kinds of fun stuff. She is from Minnesota. You know what? What am I going to do? Why am I telling you all this now? I'll just let you listen to it. So ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. This is episode 6 of Hi and Hello with my guest, Madisen. Okay, so we're going to try this again. Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Hi and Hello. I'm joined today again with my guest, Madisen. Madisen, how are you again?
Delightful.
I keep saying again because we did a podcast together and for some reason it didn't save properly. So we're finally going to redo this and I'm very excited. Madisen, tell the folks at home a little about yourself. Where are you from?
Hello. I'm from Minnesota. I grew up just outside of Minneapolis in a tiny little suburb that has the most soccer fields, youth soccer fields in, I think, the world. And they host, I don't know why it's there, they mowed it all down and they have tournaments on tournaments on tournaments. In July they have the USA Cup.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
This is a thing there?
Uh-huh.
That's like when I was out in Louisville for a little while, I found out that they have the world's largest go-kart racing track. Mm-hmm. And it's like 4 miles long or some shit. And we didn't get to go, but I wish I did. That's insane. Did you play a lot of soccer growing up then? Was that like a big deal?
No. My sisters did. But
no?
We moved from 2 different suburbs while I was in school, Coon Rapids and Blaine. And when I was in Coon Rapids, I tried to play sports. I think I tried just about every sport and did it for a recreational season and then was done.
Yeah. Sports just at the time wasn't your thing?
It wasn't what I wasn't, it didn't pull me as an 8-year-old. I was taking piano lessons and I stuck with that instead.
That's a cool thing though, because I love to play any instrument I can get my hands on, but I haven't been playing since I was in my youth. Yeah. And I feel like that really kind of held me back at a lot of stages in life, because learning to play an instrument, I feel like really just gives you some discipline that you really wouldn't get besides that, because you have to fucking play if you want to be good. Mm-hmm. I see people who are in their 40s and I'm 26 and I probably could if I dedicated nothing but my time directly towards playing said instrument. Yeah. But it's unfucking real what some people are capable of because they started so young.
Yeah, well, and playing so often and in so many different places and on so many different instruments. If you want to put the time in, I think you can start whenever you want. It's just, it helps to have more time behind you. I think you can still get as good as anyone who was started when they were 8.
Maybe.
I think you could.
I'm going to say maybe on that one, because there's some people who seem like they got fucking 12 fingers, and it's insane.
I'm not one of those people, the record.
No, you've been playing since you were 8.
I started playing when I was 8.
But
that's when I was in high school. But I don't have a piano anymore, so when I moved to Chicago, it all just kind of fell off. I can still read music. I can still pick up instruments and play things on them, but my chops are just gone.
That's like a second language though, knowing to read music, like sight read, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. I'm not fast, but I can do it.
That's cool. That's cool as shit. So let's get back to that for a second. You said when you came to Chicago. So what brought you to Chicago?
I went to college here. I went to Columbia in the South Loop.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I graduated fairly recently with a degree in directing for the stage, which I've been using a lot of lately. Which I don't know if you have a degree in arts, but that's a total joke. Like I haven't really been using it. Things like that don't pay the rent until you're a bit older and a bit wiser.
One of my friends went to Columbia for film. He was my roommate for a while, and it was interesting because everyone I met through him, they were happy they got their degree in whatever their art field was. But there was a lot of times where they were like, if I just spent the money that I spent or I'm spending on paying it all off, I probably could have just bought my software and spent a couple years on YouTube and really figured it out more. Yeah. But the big thing with going to an art school is all of the connections you can make from it, though. So, like, a lot of these people that he met, he would have never even come across. That he wouldn't have been on their radar for jobs he picked up and stuff. So, I can see both sides of the coin to that pretty well.
And I think with theater, like, it's a little bit different because with film too, the idea of a safe space to like really do some funky ass shit. Like my last show as a senior was probably the most fucked up thing you've ever seen on stage. Like, and not because it was vulgar or violent or whatever, just because it was weird as shit. And I had no fewer than 3 people fall asleep on me in the theater just because the stuff I was doing was like, what happens if we take this and do it super slow? And that's not something someone's gonna hire you to do. Like, you have to have the safe space to play around and to try something new. And I don't know, I think college was worth it for that.
One of my friends used their time in college to make Lysistrata, but casted it as the movie Shrek.
Yeah.
That was
nice.
pretty dope.
I like that.
Dope. She made her own Shrek sequel that was all of the fairyland creatures refusing to sleep with any of the men until the wars ended. It was fucking hilarious. It was cute though. It really was pretty cute.
But that's the kind of stuff, like, you can't charge people to see that because it's just like, I'm doing this thing.
Right.
What about Donkey?
Oh no, there was a really cute song with Donkey and Dragon, with Dragon basically telling Donkey off. It was fucking goofy, but it was a good time. It was a real good time. So, where did you find your home in Chicago? What group, what clique was the first time that you were like, oh shit, this feels like home. I feel like I'm going to visit family, but I'm coming back home.
The first time?
Yeah. What was the first clique you ran in?
So, something to know about me. I'm not great at quote-unquote cliques.
Okay.
And maybe that's why I ended up getting my degree in directing, because it's kind of a like, oh, it's okay, I can do this by myself. That's fine. But I think that first time in Chicago, I found that there was a group of kids out of Columbia who wanted to do this weird-ass theater, whatever. And we found each other. There was a young man who is now in, like, Massachusetts, living on a farm and working for a company with this farm that just does shows in a barn.
Wow.
And the process for doing this really specific kind of weird-ass theater is devising, right? So you'll take a core idea and throw a bunch of people in a room and build something. And a lot of times it's really heavily physical. There's some dance, there's some acro, there's a lot of body movement along with text that you're writing to accompany whatever it is you're building on top of this core concept. And this young man who's now, I think, in Massachusetts, as part of his senior year, is like, I want to teach people how to do that. So instead of like doing a show, he did a workshop. And that was probably the first time that I had like a clique or a group of people that I'd come back to or come home to. And they were people that were all across their college experience and just wanted to try something new. And we built some really moving stuff together. Like these beautiful movement sequences about what it's like to leave your family behind. And a lot of those people I'm still really good friends with now, and we keep making work together. A couple of us did a dance piece my junior year, right after I got back from living in Dublin. And
wait. Yeah. You were living out in Dublin.
I was, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What were you doing out in Dublin, real quick? We'll come back to the show, but what were you doing out in Dublin?
I was attending a conservatory for performance.
Oh wow!
It was the Dublin Institute of Technology's Conservatory of Music and Drama.
Oh, wow.
Which is the longest, like, most profound name for the smallest little building.
Well, that's fucking sweet. How old were you when you did that?
20. It was 20. It was 20. And I was the only American that went, so it was like a little 20-year-old. And you can't see me because you're hearing my voice, but I am only 4'11"
She's
inches
4
tall.
foot of fury, folks.
I'm just tiny. And this tiny little girl with 2 suitcases about the same height as her, like, getting off a plane by herself and, like, desperately trying to get into a cab, like, not knowing exactly how to say the street I'm supposed to go to. I remember the cabbie, like, helped me get my bags out of the back of the car, and I almost hugged him, like, to the point where he's giving me this look like, oh my god, is she gonna hug me right now? Like, that would be so weird. People don't do that.
Right.
But I was just so grateful, and he was so kind. It was a bizarre experience, but I loved it.
What's the drinking age in Ireland when you were there?
Younger than I was.
Oh, so you got to explore some of the local
16,
pubs?
18? Yeah, and it was weird because, like I said, tiny little lady. And the first bar I walk into, there isn't even a question of whether or not I'm being ID'd. Like, hey, could I get a fucking, like, Glendalough cider, please? And they're like, yeah, here.
No shit.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Like,
they're just like,
dude,
yep.
I look like a 15. Like, what? Yeah, no, it's so not a thing. Like, we would go to clubs. So they're all, I think the drinking age is 18. But most of the clubs, if they want to be like upper tier, will say, okay, that's fine. That's the drinking age. But this club is like, they'll call it 21s. So you can't get in unless you're 21. And some of them are 23s. So you can't get in unless you're 23. And on 2 different occasions, we went to one that was 21s. And most of us, like, I was on the older side, right, of some of the other students I was hanging out with. And we were like, we're here to see the graduates, like the previous class had just graduated and they were all celebrating there. And we're like, and they're like, yeah, okay, go on. And not even a question. Did not ID, just like, yeah, that's fine, go ahead. And on another occasion, this guy I was seeing while I was over there, and I wanted to go out, like, somewhere nice, like, before I left. It was right before Christmas, and we go up to this bar, and it's like, lads, it's 23s. Like, I can't let you in. And we're like, okay, well, I guess that's fine. Like, well, we'll find somewhere else to go. And he goes, fucking, it's Christmas. And, like, lets us in to this packed bar of, like, 25 to 30-year-olds, and we find some little corner and just watch people all night. And all of these people, like, what are those kids doing here? We're like, we're just having a good time, alright? Sit back down.
How long did it take you to shake the accent when you got back from Ireland?
Oh, it didn't take me long to shake it when I got back.
You didn't try to hold on to it for a minute or two?
No, because people would think I was an absolute asshole.
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
I even tried to shake it while I was there, but it's hard when that's, like, all you're hearing all the time. And having a musical ear, you pick up on the lilt a lot easier.
Right.
And it's still really hard to shake it if I'm drinking enough. So, like, that's a lot of fun.
So you just had some friends not long ago swing through from Ireland, and they got to explore the city a little bit. And there's still a few of them still living around here. So what were they up to? Were they just here for the summer, or
yeah?
Because it was a rather large group of people to come down here.
We had at least 12.
It wasn't like a. I thought at first it was maybe like a college thing, like they were all coming down to like study for school or something. Was that the case, or were they just like, no, we're going to Chicago and kicking it for a couple months?
No, it's actually really popular, especially in Dublin and like the surrounding suburbs, that in the summer you'll go for a J1. And a J1 is a type of visa you get to work a summer away. And you can, especially in Ireland, you can J1 in Chicago, in like New York, on the East Coast, like kind of all over. Wherever there are a lot of service industry jobs, you can J1. So there were like 3 of them in that group who were J1s. And then the rest of them are like, what an amazing excuse to go to America, to visit this person that is already living there and has been for a while and has a place to stay. So most of them were just visiting for a week or two with their 3 people that were living in the house. Yeah.
Ain't that some shit?
Yeah.
Man, I wish we had some cool shit like that. And we probably do, but just I never thought to leave America for X amount of months just to go check it out. And I know there's people out there who are like, you can do that. It's that simple, but sometimes it's fucking not. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of stress. But then again, shit. YOLO, right? Huh.
I mean, it depends. Like, it's definitely not as hard as you think it will be, right? And not you, but like as hard as one thinks it would be. Because it really comes down to what do you want to come back to if you decide to come back, and how do you go about it where you're not going to burn a bunch of bridges.
But it's not like a Rum Springer thing.
I don't have any idea what that means.
Yay! This is my second guest in a row who doesn't know what Rum Springer is, and I don't know why the fuck I keep bringing it up, to be completely honest. Are you familiar with the Amish, with like Amish and Mennonite and stuff? People who still like churn their own butter and shit?
Yes.
So I'm going to make this quick because some people who listen to the last podcast have already heard about it, but I'll be fast. Rum Springer is basically the times that Amish kids at like 16, they get to go away for like a month or so, and they get to go party somewhere, and they get to go fucking go ape shit. Like, ape shit for like a month or so, and then they decide to come back to their family or not. Yeah, so but they get to come back to their family in Ireland when they do the
totally.
Cool.
Yeah, but like now as like an adult, like you're not going for study abroad where like your housing is kind of taken care of and you have a built-in community, and like you're not going for J1 where you have a job lined up and you know there are other people doing it. Like, it's different. Like, if you pick up and move to another country at this juncture, like, you have to, one, kind of know where you want to land, at least for a little while, like, until you can put the plan for the next thing together, and know where you can come back to. So, like, if I were to pick up and go back to Ireland, like, I'd need to know where I was going to stay. I'd have to have a lead on a job. I don't have to have one yet, but a lead on one. And I have to know that if it doesn't work out and I can't get work, and I need to be able to come back.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's hard. That's so much more planning as a real, proper adult person.
Right. Yeah, I got a buddy right now who's in, and you know him as well, our buddy Jay, he went over to Amsterdam because he was going to try moving to Amsterdam. In like the final minute, his wife got a job offer in Berlin, like literally 2 hours before the fucking plane takes off or some shit. And now they went and visited, hey, we're trying to podcast in here, fucks. We're trying to do an online radio show thing. You don't need to be honking your horn. Come on, guys.
I would argue you don't need to be honking in Rogersburg.
You don't need to honk anywhere.
But that's fine.
Unless you're about to crash. Anywho.
Berlin.
They went to Amsterdam first, and apparently one of the things that they didn't realize when they first went to visit is like how harsh the locals are on tourists. Like, they were trying to plan to like move here, and this old man out of nowhere, same skin complexion and everything as them, was like, there's nothing to see here in Amsterdam, go home, or something like that. And so like, I feel like that's another thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration is how do other areas around the world view Americans and view tourists and stuff like that. Like, shit, it's not even a difference in tourism, but like, we live in Chicago, and I get so fucking pissed when there's a Cubs game and I gotta take a train. I get so pissed when it's fucking Lollapalooza and the population of this 5 city blocks just exploded, and I'm trying to take the train. Yeah, I should just get a car and quit bitching, but I don't know.
Oh, it wouldn't be any better.
No.
You ever tried to take a fucking Uber when there is a Cubs game? And I used to live in Lakeview. Like, I lived a 10-minute walk from the field. Like,
was that your first place in Chicago?
It was my third place in Chicago.
God damn, woman, you're moving around quick. How long have you been here?
College,
how many years?
Dude. 4.
4 years? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it does.
The first year I was in the dorms. Second year I was up in Rogers Park up here. And third year I was in Lakeview. And the fourth year I was back up here.
You lived in a dorm?
Yeah.
Yeah? What was that like for a second?
It was fucking weird, dude.
I never went enough of college to, like, live in a dorm because my college was, like, a 10-minute drive. And what the fuck is that like?
So when you're going to school in the city, it's a little bit different. Like, DePaul has proper dorms. Loyola has proper dorms. But Columbia bought out, like, a portion of 3 different apartment buildings. So I lived with 3 other women, 2 to a bedroom. We each had our own bathroom. We had a kitchen, and we had a little, like, living area. And, like, it was enough space to comfortably house 4 people. But I didn't know anybody coming to college. Like, this is what I mean about not, like, having quote-unquote cliques. Like, I didn't go to college where all my friends went to college. I wanted to come to the city, and I didn't know anyone. No one from my high school ended up here. So I was randomly selected with 3 other people. And they try and group, like, first-year students all together. But it doesn't really account for, like, transfers. So I had someone who was my age, but because she did college and schools, like, transferred as a junior. I had someone who was coming back to school after taking, like, 3 years off. So she was significantly older than the rest of us, but
so she bought
was,
the
like,
booze.
Still a...
So she bought the booze.
Hell yeah, she did.
Yeah, she bought the booze.
But we're not talking about that. It's
Why?
fine.
You graduated.
Okay,
Who cares? Who cares? What are they going to take away your fucking fine arts degree?
I was just thinking to myself...
Degree away because you drank during college?
No, I was having, like, a subplot thought while I was telling this story, like, what if I share this podcast with my mom? Like, my poor mother. Anyway,
yeah.
yes, Anna did.
We'll
yes, she definitely did.
We'll have her call in. Why not? That'd be a blast. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, she was. And then we had a third student who was coming from Nazarene Christian University and was transferring as a photography major.
Ooh.
And so it was a really interesting, like, mix of ages and majors. Dynamic. It was really bizarre. And I was the only theater student, so I was, like, loud and, like... But I'm me, so, like, I'm loud, but I'm nice, and I, like, was just starting college, and all of this was super exciting, and I don't think they liked me very much. But it was interesting, and, like, it was also art school, so, like, on the 5th floor of the building, we had a big white room that people went in and painted the floor, painted the walls, and they repaint it white every year, and, like, it was interesting. I could walk to school in 10 minutes, which is nice when you don't know the city at all. Like, you can get from door to door, no problem.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was all really cool.
What were the other majors in your dorm?
My bedroom was a graphic design major.
Okay.
And across the hall was audio production and photography.
Oh, wow.
And then I started college at musical theater. So I was musical theater all of 6 weeks and then switched to directing.
Yeah.
So all over the place. We never had classes together.
I feel like musical theater in Chicago... when you're going to college for that's got to be like one of the most competitive fucking classrooms. Like, obviously in New York it's going to be probably a little bit worse because they have like Juilliard and shit like that. Mm-hmm. Is that they're kind of like musical theater, right? They're another music,
Tisch,
but
yeah.
like yeah. But like, was that something that kind of took you out of it, or were you like, I don't want to do this? Period.
No. I did one show. That was my 6 weeks. I did like a new student showcase. Like, you had to audition. It was actually kind of an accolade at the time. Like, this is our best and brightest of incoming musical theater students, and let's put them up on a stage so that the directors can see them, basically. And I just remember like walking into rehearsal and walking out of rehearsal just miserable, because most of the time is spent like, yeah, I can belt too, or why did you get the solo and I didn't get the solo? And
it was catty.
Like, it just felt like that, you know? Like, nobody said anything, and then suddenly everyone's hooking up with each other, and you're like, why is it like this? And for some people, that's where they thrive, and I totally admire that. Like, if that's your thing, go do that thing, please. But it was not my thing.
Oh shit! It sounds like it wasn't. I'm glad you got out of there.
It was at the time. It felt like a hard decision because it feels like you're giving up. Like, when the going gets tough, and when we say tough, we mean competitive and catty. Like, the tough should get going, right? But sometimes the smart decision is to not keep going.
Oh, indeed. Now, something that you just said that really kind of caught my attention was it feels like you're giving up. You've lived in Chicago for 4 years-ish, plus I've been here for 5, 6-ish, roughly. When you go home to visit, and you're around the people who stayed and who didn't want to go anywhere else, and there's nothing wrong with that. I have to say that, because a lot of times when I talk about this, I don't want people who are listening or who are the person who never left their town to feel like I'm fucking making fun of them or being mean to them.
No, it's the same thing we say about musical theater people. If that's where you're thriving, do that, right? It's just not for everyone.
Indeed. But my question is when you go back home for holiday or just for fun to see your family and friends who are still around, do you ever have that feeling of, if I moved back, then I kind of failed?
Oh, yeah.
All the time, right?
All the time.
All the time, right?
When I graduated college, I thought about moving back to Minneapolis, and not even to the suburbs, to Minneapolis. And I still thought, that's the easy way. That's the easy way out. I gotta try it. I gotta try and make it go.
Right. I don't know. I feel like...
I'm so glad to hear you say that.
Yeah?
Yeah, like that you were going there. Like,
absolutely.
That you go there. And it's not just in my head.
Every fucking time I get a bill collecting call, and I'm just like, man... like, what the fuck am I doing? I'll get this idea, this notion of like, man, if I just moved back to a cheaper area where there is some kind of a good job probably waiting for me, like, I can do it and I might be happier. But I feel like I would be so fucking depressed in thinking that, like, that next day, something would have happened.
Right.
And something, like, that opportunity was right at your fucking doorstep, and you went out the back door and you left the house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Publisher Clearinghouse is right there with the check.
Yeah.
And, like, you finally get your I don't want to say, like, notoriety, but your...
recognition.
Yeah, your recognition. You finally get your moment. You get your time in the sun or whatever. And the fear of not getting that.
Yeah.
It's so fucking heavy.
But I think we're also just a little bit blinded. Like, we both lived here for, like, a good amount of time. Not a great amount of time, but a good amount of time. And, like, being blind to the fact that you are in this big city. And when I also go back home, like, there's this awe around, like, oh, you live in Chicago.
Right?
Especially when I'm, like, talking to little kids.
Right.
Like, oh, do you get lost? Like, yes, 8-year-old that I'm just meeting for the first time, sometimes I do still get lost, you know?
Right.
And you just don't see that. So, like, going home, you'd be like, yeah, I didn't do all the things that... like, I thought I could in Chicago, but people would still be like, but you're from, like, you made stuff there, and you did things there, and that's huge, and it doesn't feel as big as it is, like, as we're living it. I don't know.
Right. No, you're not rambling at all. It makes total sense. And the thing is there's so many fucking neighborhoods here, and so many different, like, diverse cultures that just, like, melt together, that a lot of times I feel like we don't stop to realize how, like, major life is around us compared to, like, what was the population of where you're from?
Oh, God, I have no idea.
Like, I mean,
I have no idea.
You said it's like a suburb of Minneapolis?
It's a little smaller.
Are we talking paved roads or dirt?
Paved roads.
Oh, well, see, yeah.
So, like, a little smaller than Evanston.
Okay.
In population, but really spread out.
Right.
We were really spread out.
Yeah, my hometown was like 15,000.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So that's like a neighborhood in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Like, actually, I think they just did a poll, and I think Rogers Park is like 30,000.
Nice.
I really want to say it's something like that. It's fucking unreal. Shit, man. Okay, so here's another quick one, all right?
Yeah, hit me with
What's the one thing about Minnesota you miss the most? Family and friends excluded. I'm talking what food, what fucking
like
bar.
one thing that I miss the most?
Just give a couple examples. Like, for example, one of the things that I miss more than anything, and it's a 2-hour drive away, and I could go there in a fucking heartbeat, but it's just the one thing that I miss the most. We have this place where I'm from called Angelo's, okay? Angelo's is a pizzeria that's really only in, like, the 3-town stretch, but they make this fucking pizza called a spaghetti pizza. Okay? You've had Chicago deep dish, right? So it's like this fucking French bread bowl that has spaghetti and, like, just this fucking phenomenal spaghetti with, like, cheese over it, and they bake it and they cut it like a fucking pizza, and you get a slice of pizza.
That is
but
so wild.
It's literally like
in a bread
cake.
bowl.
It's like spaghetti cake almost.
Oh my God.
That's what I fucking miss. What do you miss about Minnesota?
When I go back, I try and make it a point to have a proper Juicy Lucy.
What is a Juicy Lucy?
Do you not know what that is?
No, I swear on my fucking life.
It's a burger with the cheese inside. So they cook the burger with the patty made around the cheese, so that when you bite into it, you have to be super careful, because when you bite into it, that cheese is molten hot.
Oh, shit.
It's like a chocolate lava cake, but meat and cheese, and it's amazing.
That's some Minnesota shit if I ever fucking heard it.
I try and make it a point. I definitely do. I miss green.
Okay.
And, like, the beautiful thing I think about Minnesota is, even in Minneapolis, like, you'd go half an hour out of Minneapolis and you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. Like, where I grew up, we were, like 2 or 3 miles away from a private airplane hangar, which is just this huge expanse of land that you could go, I mean, you couldn't be on it, but you could look at, and there's places like that all over. Like, you go another half hour out of where I'm from, you go north instead of south, and you're, like, in the middle of a fucking soy field, you know? And I miss those expanses and being able to, like, spread my energy out. Because there's nowhere to really do that here, so I get really wound up and running around all the time.
I think that's why I want to live as close to the beach as possible. Because I love the idea of looking out and seeing nothing.
Yeah.
And just putting the city behind you and, like, zoning out for a little bit. When I was a kid, because for the folks listening, I met Madisen at a karaoke night.
Not just one karaoke
night. We seem to run into each other pretty often these days. But for what it's worth, when I was a kid, I grew up in the middle of a farm, okay? And when I say middle of a farm, I don't really mean like fucking pigs and cows and shit like that. It was just farm land for corn. So it was this abandoned road, basically, and we lived like quarter mile up this hill off a dirt road in the middle of cornfield, no neighbors, for like shouting distance, right? And when I was younger, I used to love when the corn would grow up and just, you know, be so adorable and shit. So it'd pop all the way up.
How'd it get so big?
Right, how'd that corn get so big? But I would stand on my porch, and by standing on the porch, I could see over the corn, and I could see the corn for just miles, it felt like, right? So when I was younger, I was an annoying little brat, and my parents would be like, quit singing in the house. And it wasn't like a chastising thing. It was just every breath was the belt of a lifetime. Like, like as loud as I could. And they're like, dude, you gotta fucking like find a new hobby. Like, learn to play chess or just fucking draw. Just, you can't keep screaming all the time. And I was like, all right. So I would go out to this back porch and I would sing to the corn. Like it was like some big fucking festival or something. Yeah, I was in the arena and like I was on the stage, this little porch, and there was this cornfield, and I was trying to belt it all the way out to the other side of the corn. But that was like my special little moment, and in that moment, looking out, seeing nothing, the only time I can recreate that in the city is by standing at like the edge of the pier and just looking out as far as I fucking can and seeing just absolutely nothing. No buildings, no people, no fucking cars, no bullshit, and just having that same parallel moment of like, I'm back on this porch. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is my little piece of home. Yeah. Yeah. What is a spot that you bring friends or family to in the city then? What's the opposite of what you would do in Minnesota? What do you do here in Chicago?
I don't know if it's a spot I would bring friends or family.
Do you do the touristy stuff?
I make them go do it.
Yeah?
I actually, on a couple of occasions with people who would come to visit while I was in college, I'd make them, they'd get off the plane at O'Hare. I'd be like, I want you to take the blue line to Washington, walk straight towards the lake, and the bean will be right there. And I'll meet you in like half an hour after you tell me you're there. And you can walk around Millennium Park, and I'll meet you when you're done. And I'll show you my favorite parts of Millennium Park. Like, there's this gorgeous garden right by the Art Institute, and we can go back to Maggie Daley and go down the biggest slide I've ever seen in my whole life.
Where's the biggest slide you've ever seen in Chicago?
In Maggie Daley Park.
There's a slide in Maggie Daley Park? I've never been.
Oh, okay, so
because I don't do the touristy bullshit.
Millennium Park.
Okay.
And then there's this big twisty bridge, and on the other side is like this big playground. All right. Maggie Daley.
Oh, okay, yeah, where they do the ribbon for the ice ring, right? Okay, yeah, I've never actually been
behind there.
All right.
Very cool spot.
No shit.
There were some days in college when like we'd get the okay to blow off class from the professor, and like professor included, we would all just go to the park. And, like, it's a gorgeous day, and it's been a miserable winter, and we're all exhausted, and we're gonna go swing, damn it. And that's what we did.
That's bad as fuck.
So I would bring my family there. But, like, finding a piece of, like, home, right?
Right.
I'm talking about, like, spreading out your energy. Like, with mine, it wasn't singing or, like, being really loud and, like, getting my voice across an expanse. It was just my energy could spread out in an expanse. And I found out Circus does that.
Circus does that
because
for you,
if I can get high up, there aren't any people to block my energy from getting places. So if I can get really high up and knock myself into a little swing, then I can spread out a little and, like, take a minute.
So how long have you been doing circus work?
Or acrobatics? Not even a year. Oh, no. I started working at the Actors. It's so funny you asked this because, like, right before I left the house, I got a phone call. I used to work at the Actors Gymnasium in Evanston as an intern. Okay. And I got a phone call from my old boss, quote-unquote boss. If he ever hears this, he's going to laugh at that. But I get a phone call. Hey, so maybe exactly a year ago, you made some letters up for us. Do you have any idea where you would have saved those? I started there on August 28th. I started there like a week ago today.
No shit.
A week ago today, a year ago.
Huh.
So a year ago last Tuesday. Was when I started working there.
Badass.
And then I started training there probably this week, so almost exactly a year.
Give the listeners a little taste of what happens there. What is this place we're talking about?
It's amazing. The Actors Gymnasium, it's a circus school and performance space. They do a lot of youth classes and a couple of adult classes. So they do gymnastics and aerial and contortion. And then for kids, they do, like, basic circus skills. So you'll do a little juggling, a little unicycle riding. It's pretty much all ages. So, like, anywhere from, like, they do preschoolers with parents. So, like, a parent-taught class all the way through 18 is the cutoff for their teen ensemble. So if it's something you really like and something you get really good at, and you can always become a part of the teen ensemble. And the teen ensemble does, I think, 2 shows a year. They do a spring show. They do, like, a winter show and a spring show.
Oh, right on.
And then they have the professional training program for adults, so, like, 18 and older. And they do a showcase at the end, but it's professional training. They do acting and all of the things I just mentioned. They'll pick they call it circus school. It's kind of like circus college. It's 9 months. They pick a major and a minor, something they really want to specialize in, and it's a great program if you want to learn skills that you didn't have before as a performer.
Who got you into it?
It's something I always kind of wanted to do. Like, yeah. I was a gymnast, like, as much as an 8-year-old can be a gymnast, like, through my early teens. And it was something I really liked. It's something I'm really built for. Again, going back to being tiny and pretty flexible, like, I had the skills for it. I knew how to make my body do those things, and there's something magic about it. There's something totally magic about watching people actually fly. Like, not on a fly system, not like they're hanging by a cord from the ceiling. Like, no, you climbed up there, and you're hanging on, and all of that is how strong you are and how magic, like, the human body can do all these things we never thought it could do just because we never tried. And I wanted to try.
Did you fall?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I've only fallen once.
But was it bad?
I had like a rug burn, but it was a silk burn on the inside of my arm, and it was pretty rough. But it was because I caught myself, so I didn't hit the ground too hard, which is probably a good thing. Yeah. That was the only time I fell. I got the job because I needed an internship. And I was like, an internship, and this thing I really like. Let's do that.
Why not? Why not, indeed? Well, that's cool. That's cool as shit. That's awesome that you just did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't anyone being like, hey, come to this class with me or anything. You were just like, did you just Google it or what?
Well, that's kind of the weird thing about the Chicago theater scene, right? Like, what I did was sent a message out to the people who I thought maybe knew someone who was involved there. And I said, guys, I'm looking for someone who's connected to the Actors Gym. Who do you know? And one person got back to me and said, I know this performer who teaches there. You should get in touch with them. And I got in touch with them. I'm like, I know we don't know each other, but I'm looking for this internship. I was wondering if you knew who I should talk to or what I should look at. And the instructor goes, I can't help you with that, but here's someone who can. And that person ended up being my supervisor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this particular supervisor ended up being a part of the professional training program. So I basically did most of his job for a couple of months while they really needed a hand.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
To cross over
totally
your circus and acrobatic hobbies and your profession that you have now, which is film to an extent, we'll say. What did you think of that Barnum and Bailey flick that came out?
The Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman. What did you think? Because that seems like literally if you threw up onto film. Like, I was thinking about it the other night. If you just like barfed on a reel. That's what that movie was like when I watched it. So what was your feelings towards it?
Um
That was such a dumb way to say that.
No, I mean, but it
totally makes sense, though. Like, if you know you. Yeah.
My family went and saw it Christmas Day. All 5 of us.
Aw, that's adorable.
Yeah, that's something we like to do. Like
a movie on Christmas Day?
Yeah, just something that's, like, quiet. And honestly, it's become, like, we don't really have to talk to each other, but we're all in the same place. Like, anything that kind of does that, that's what we like to do. Christmas Eve is like the big family noise, and we all have to be personable, and so we take it easy, the 5 of us. But regardless, I think it's an amazing circus movie. And I remember watching especially like the opening couple scenes with the big numbers, and like the music is amazing, and like just like I think I cried. And I was desperately trying to hide it from my sisters. Like, guys, no, I know this movie is perfect for me, but don't look at me right now. Because it's that magic I was talking about. Like the way that it all came together, especially in those opening couple scenes, and like looking at the early relationship between him and his wife, and like, this is beautiful. Like, it's magical, and they're creating this feeling like that's you can't quite believe it, but everything they're doing is real. Like the lyra work, all real. The straps work, all real. The dancing, it was real. Like they're doing that with their person, and it's just barely outside the realm of like understanding, but people do it all the time, and I loved that. That being said, Barnum was a horrible person.
He was a real shitty
He was a horrible person. So why they had to focus on, like, a real figure blows my mind. You could have done that whole movie without it being about a real person at all. And, like, still had a really solid circus flick. You didn't have to, like, veil it in this is almost kind of a true story. No, you put you sugar-coated a really horrible thing that happened in the history of American performing. Like, I'm sorry.
No, you don't apologize.
I suppose I'm apologizing to Greatest Showman. Like, that ruined it for me. Like, well, if they but it made it a lot worse.
If they write an email, I'll be sure to forward it to you, okay? Because the last thing I need is Wolverine and Zendaya knocking at my fucking door.
Listen, I'm sure Zendaya would be right on my side, right, girl?
Probably, right, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
You had pink hair in that movie, you winner.
Cool. I'm just gonna say it. Zendaya seems cool as shit. And if she's end up gonna be Mary Jane in the new Spider-Man franchise, like if they do
here for it.
Yeah, I'm here for that as well. So you said earlier that you guys do Christmas Eve for your Christmas, right?
Kinda, yeah.
So my parents pulled the most gangster Christmas shit that I've ever dealt with. Okay? The most gangster Christmas ever, okay? So this is what my parents would do. And if you got kids listening, you might want to push them out of the room for a second or...
Just real quick.
Fast forward.
Just real quick.
It's 10 sentences. Don't count them. So we would celebrate at my grandmother's house on Christmas Eve, okay? Mm-hmm. We would leave the house. Mm-hmm. We would go have Christmas Eve. Mm-hmm. We'd get back to the house, and on the drive, I swear to you, whether it's just how the fucking cards fell or not, but my dad would drive around a little bit and try to find a plane in the sky. Okay?
Yeah, yep. Mm-hmm.
He would try to find a plane in the sky.
Yep.
And he'd be like, there goes Rudolph. And we're like, oh shit, Rudolph, right? Like freaking out. We'd get home, and all the gifts would be under the tree.
Gangsters.
All the gifts would be under the tree. Mm-hmm. And my parents were like, guys, I mean, Santa came by. If you're cool opening all your presents, you can do it. And so we just got spoiled by grandmas and aunts and uncles and all this and that. And now we get like, fucking Santa was here. Look at this shit. And like shaking the box. He wrote on the name, the cookies are bit, the milk was drank. It was cool as shit, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward like 4 years. It keeps happening. And now my little brain is like, what the fuck is really happening here, right? Mm-hmm. And I would like watch my parents and
You're
shit.
You're like 13.
Yeah, give or take 11 to 13. And I'm like, something is going on.
Yeah.
And this is before fucking kids could just hop on Amazon and order their own fucking little security camera nanny cam thing, because I'm sure they're doing that these days. Fucking kids. But it blew my mind. I couldn't figure it out. No matter how difficult like it would be for them to get that done, they still would get it done. And then finally I coerced them and got them drunk and was like, you're gonna fucking explain this shit right now.
Yeah. Because
I could have written books about like my theories on Santa. Like, it was unreal. Easter Bunny came during the night. We woke up, there's the stuff. Fucking, those are like the only two holidays, right? Like or like there's Hanukkah.
That's it.
But
that's
like,
all there is.
Yeah, that's all there. Well, like gift giving,
like,
but like overnight gift giving.
Yeah.
Like, what other overnight gift giving holiday is there? Exactly. So why the fuck couldn't the Easter Bunny come at 7 p.m. on the night before? Like, what Santa was so pimp, though. Like, he would just bring the stuff by. Later, we found out that it was the neighbors. The neighbors were coming by and putting all the gifts out for us.
That's
because
so
my
sweet.
parents, it was so sweet, but my parents were fucking like, shit, he's catching on.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, where are you going? What are you doing? What are you up to out here? And my dad's like, oh, I'm just having a cigarette, bud. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're in the car.
You haven't even lit it yet.
Yeah. There's nothing in your fingers or your lips. And he's like, just go back in, man. Have fun for Christmas. I'm like, I will when you will. Like, come on, let's go inside. So yeah, I just had to say that because we were Christmas Evers as well. Yeah. And that was just the most pimp shit being a kid. While I was still an only child, and my parents had that kind of time to like, all right, well, there's two of us and only one of him kind of thing, and then they kept having kids. Yeah. I'm one of 4 boys on my dad's side and 2 girls on my mom's, and I'm the oldest. When I was the only child in the family, my dad fucking traced out boot lines on like construction paper, and him and my mom fucking made fake snow boots from like the small chimney to the tree and back.
That's so funny. That's some Pinterest shit.
Like, that's the cutest fucking thing, right? Like, I don't know.
Speaking of parents, I just got a text from my mom.
Yeah?
She's super cute.
Folks, for all you out there listening real quick, Madisen hooked it the fuck up with some smoothies.
Oh!
And they're so good. What all is actually in this?
Okay, so, dear listeners, I woke up with some germage, and so I definitely Googled, like, what would be the most helpful smoothie for the germage. It's,
I thought you said the Germans.
No, the germage.
What's the best smoothie for the Germans?
I was stricken with some kind of ailment, so it's, 2 mandarin oranges, banana, half a cup of frozen mango, and coconut water, a little bit of ginger, and a little bit of plain yogurt.
It's fucking delicious.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Totally. Keep you safe and strong.
Yeah, keep that immune system up. You know what I'm not excited for? Winter.
Yeah.
I'm not excited for it.
Okay,
I'm
but
really
okay.
not.
hold that thought, because I'm just going to try and shine a ray of sunshine in the wintry darkness that is approaching. My roommate and I were talking about the expanse that is winter fashion. And we're about to hit sweater weather, my friend.
Ooh.
Bring on the sweater weather.
Sweater weather over...
beanies, man. We're about to be able to wear beanies without actually killing ourselves.
Yeah, that's fair. I have such a love-hate with, like...
scarves.
With winter. Scarves, boy, scarves.
Scarves!
Do you not know the joy of scarves and hoodies and beanies?
Oh, God.
We're all moving. We're all moving to the north.
Back to Minnesota I go.
Going back to Minnesota.
What is you have a love-hate relationship with winter?
I do have a love-hate relationship with winter because I hate Christmas music.
Oh, I don't like
Christmas music. I hate lights on people's houses.
I'm sorry. That's where I draw the line.
No,
That's
do.
the best
because,
part.
It's not the best part because we only put them up at that point of the year. You know how beautiful this city would be if we put up Christmas lights during the summer when we are all outside enjoying them?
Yeah, but like they wouldn't shine off the snow.
Who the fuck cares?
I
if they wouldn't shine off the snow?
I
Go
care.
back to Minnesota. They wouldn't shine off the snow.
Well, they wouldn't. Like, that's part of the beauty of it. It's like you've got snow and lights on the trees.
I've never looked at the snow and been like, that makes these lights for me.
Oh.
Are you serious? That's the first thing you jump to?
Not the first thing, but like I think about like if you had lights up in summer, you wouldn't be able to see them because of all the greenery, one. And two, part of what really makes the lights is like there's nothing else to look at because it's so fucking bleak that it's like, what's this? A little beacon here, a little beacon there. I like that. I like that a lot.
It's fucking awesome.
I want to use Christmas lights in everything. You know, Stranger Things, genius prop.
Yeah, that was
use
a genius
Christmas
prop.
lights for everything. It was so clever. And like you accomplished two things. Like imagine. Ooh, it was. Did you go to the Stranger Things pop up in Logan?
I didn't, but I saw the pictures and I had friends who went.
It's perfect for like a live venue. Like I'm thinking about doing like a stage show, right? And if you use Christmas lights, you've like solved two problems in one. You've got a prop, you've got a lighting tool. You can light really specific areas of the stage, like images of Winona Ryder with Christmas lights lighting up her face. Like I want that in every plot line. Like how can we find a moment where someone can light their face with Christmas? Oh, they're brilliant. Anyway, I'm sorry you hate them. It's fine.
If anyone's out there and they have the power to do so, you should make a compilation of videos where it's like Schindler's List with Christmas lights. Or like Cujo with Christmas lights.
With Christmas lights.
Just make that your entire fucking shtick. Just make it this movie with Christmas lights.
Oh,
Fuck, I want to do this now.
Right,
I want to do this now. I don't have the power to, but I want to. We talked a little bit about karaoke. What was your first karaoke experience?
I was in a show.
No, better yet, what was your best karaoke experience, or your first karaoke experience at a bar?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't old enough to be in the bar.
Had a girl.
But it was like a little studio space, and it was a live karaoke. So it was like one guy with a guitar, and I was in this show with a bunch of girls, and one of the girls, it was like one of her friends who played guitar. So she's like, we should all go. And I'm like, that's great, guys. I'm gonna go home because I'm a kid. And they're like, no, you're coming with us. And like, we're friends with this guy. Like, they're not gonna kick you out. You need to come. And so I came and sat down and like found a song and was really sober and like got up there and I was like, and like it was like an empty bar, right? It was like just these girls who want to have like to see us all have a good time, so it was fine. I did Sarah Bareilles' Gravity, but he didn't know the song, so I did it like on with a backing track with like the lyrics up on a TV, whatever. I came back 2 weeks later and he'd learned the song.
Really?
And he's like, I need you to do this song tonight.
That's so fucking sweet.
He and I ended up like becoming really good friends, and like I would like message him before I came in, like, what of my repertoire haven't people done tonight? And he's like, I don't know, but we should try this. And I'm like, perfect, done, I'm in, I'm there. I got to meet his kid once, and it was probably the most adorable child I've ever seen. It was super cool. It was a cool first experience and continuing experience. But he lives in San Francisco now, so
oh yeah,
can't do it anymore.
My my first experience doing a karaoke song that wasn't at like a family party or something. There was this fucking Applebee's. Okay.
Anytime you get to start a story with there was this fucking Applebee's.
Fucking Applebee's.
Yeah.
I worked at this mom and pop video shop. There was these two dudes who were literally, and this isn't a bad thing, okay? And it's gonna sound really weird, but it's like if two testicles became people, okay? They were so hopped up, like testosterone, like many men.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, that's why I said it's gonna sound weird, but hear me out.
Yeah.
There was two of them.
Yeah.
They looked a little bit like each other.
Yeah.
And they were like if America was a set of twins. Like one of them has tattooed on their ass "Made in America."
One was
with, like,
freedom and one was liberty.
Yeah. Oh my god! I'm surprised they haven't done that for a Halloween costume. And I'm gonna send them this pod because I want them to be liberty and freedom. Like it makes fucking sense if you knew these people. But they were also the kind of people where like I gotta say this safely. I gotta think of how to say this without it being a forceful thing. You just couldn't say no around them. Okay.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
And it wasn't like in a sexual way or anything else like that. Wasn't nothing like that. Just
they were very encouraging.
They were very persuasive.
Ooh.
So they weren't encouraging. They didn't care. Like it wasn't. They just wanted you to do it.
Yeah.
Like the kind of people who would like
to have the freedom to do it.
Yeah, to have the freedom and take your
access your liberty.
Exactly.
And do it.
But that's just it. They would both come at you and be like, "Well, you should do it." No, you really need to fucking do it. No, you're gonna do it. Well, he should. Yeah, you are gonna do it. You know what I mean?
You're doing it right now.
But they were also the coolest guys you've ever met.
Right.
Like every party, they were the fucking the people on top of this entire community. Everyone knew them. Everyone knew they were the cool guys. Everyone knew that they were going to dress up in fucking the stupidest, goofiest outfits to go to the most formal event.
Yeah.
But no one gave a shit. Like, they'd wear, like, tutus and American flag capes to a wedding.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, well, that's freedom and liberty. Like, we know this, right?
Right.
And they came into the video store I was working at, and they were like, "What are you up to tonight?" And I was like, "I'm going home and going to sleep." And they're like, "Or you could
there's this fucking
there's this fucking Applebee's in the middle of nowhere. You want to go do karaoke with us?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not 21." And they're like, "It's a fucking Applebee's. And you can go with us." And I was like, "Oh my god, the cool kids like want me to come along." You know what I'm saying?
To Applebee's.
And so literally, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm done. Let's go." And I lock the store up, hop in the vehicle, and we drive out to the middle of nowhere Applebee's. And once again, there's like 20 people there. And they just start putting tables together like it's rent. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, how many people are you guys expecting? And they're like, "We're selling it out tonight. We're selling it out tonight." And I was like, this
selling
is like
out an Applebee's?
Yeah. They're like, this was like MySpace days. And they were like, "Nope, we're selling this. We're selling it out." And I'm like, okay. And like, they even like went up, told this dude who was doing the karaoke, like, "Can we borrow the microphone real quick?" And they made a little video of like, "Hey everybody, we're at this Applebee's, this fucking Applebee's in the middle of nowhere. We're doing karaoke. We got Tyler, we got Liberty, we got freedom. Come join us." Fucking 20 minutes later, we sold out this fucking Applebee's.
Oh my god!
And I was just laughing so hard because there was just carload by carload of just drunk people partying, showing up to this Applebee's. The staff is fucking pissed.
Yeah.
Because they're about to close in 3 hours, and now the place
freedom
is
and liberty packed the joint. Yeah.
Jumping. And that was my first time ever going up for karaoke. And I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I fucking killed it because I wasn't drunk as shit.
Yeah.
And Freedom and Liberty were so fucking excited. They literally were like picking me up and like, "Yeah, this fucking guy!"
Yeah.
And this like, there's a sea of drunk people that we all know, and like 12 people standing around the restaurant who are like, "What the fuck is happening at this Applebee's?" And that was our karaoke spot for like 3 months.
That's amazing.
Like 3 or 4 months, and then something happened. Freedom or Liberty ended up punching the manager one night. and we got kicked out, and they asked us not to come back for a hot minute. Yeah. But yeah, that was my first karaoke experience. Was this guy's trying to sell out an Applebee's in the middle of nowhere?
There's this fucking Applebee's story.
You have a fucking Applebee's story?
Yeah, but yes. It was one that I went to. There's this
fucking Applebee's.
There's an Applebee's we used to go to as like high schoolers after high school theater productions and stuff. Mm-hmm. And years later, like I'm in college, I'm like scrolling through my Facebook, and like this story comes up about this Applebee's, and it's like, so it's not a happy story. It's like someone broke like a beer stein in a woman's face because she wouldn't speak English.
Holy shit.
And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Is there this fucking Applebee's in Georgia? Like, what is going... No, it was my high school Applebee's in fucking Minnesota.
Every high school has an Applebee's.
There's this fucking Applebee's. Well, it's like the safe place to go. Like, you can go for half price apps after 9, and we're all like, none of us have any money. We're high schoolers. Mm-hmm. But so it was horrible. I don't think I'll ever go back after reading that story. Like, I thought for sure, like, there was no way it was the one we used to go to. Right outside the mall, like across the street from Baker Square, which if we weren't going to Applebee's, we were going to Baker Square.
Yeah, pie.
They also have really hot... There was a waitress there once who brought us avocado pits and told us they were dinosaur eggs. And we went along with it because we were theater kids.
She brought you avocado pits and told you it was dinosaur eggs?
Oh, yeah. But we were like making a joke. She's like, what can I get you? And one of us was like, how many dinosaur eggs?
Oh,
and she's like, let me stick it to these smart-ass theater kids, and brings out a bowl of pits. Like,
we used to have the diner we'd all go to after the theater show and this and that. And fuck, man, I miss those days. Now, you can go to diners after the bar, this and that, but there was something about knowing you couldn't go drink anywhere and knowing that this is as fun as it's gonna get for your night, so make the best of it.
Totally.
We would laugh so fucking hard. I laughed harder at diners after theater performances than I have drunk, stoned, or both together.
Yeah.
Like,
totally.
Complete and utter sobriety, laughing like a fucking hyena, pissing off some waitress.
Yeah.
Made her night, though, because, like, 15 kids gave $1 a piece and she got some gas to get home, but, like, oh, fucking good times. Real good times. Hey, you want to know something funny?
What's up?
We just hit the hour mark.
What?
Yeah.
Look at that.
We just hit the hour mark. Yeah. So, to wrap things up, what's your favorite thing about Chicago? Take a deep breath. Think about it. I can edit out the dead space. The dead air.
My favorite thing about Chicago is you're never bored unless you want to be.
Yeah.
You are never bored unless you want to be. You can always find something. You can always find someone. There's always somewhere to go by yourself. You can go to the beach. There's events all over the place. You have to work your ass off, so you're busy all the time, but in those moments in between, you get to choose to be bored. And I think that's really powerful.
I like that. All right, guys. Thanks for sticking in there with us. And Madison, thank you so much for being my guest again.
Of course. Thanks for having me back.
I promise you that this one will actually make it to air.
I'm sure it will.
I'm going to fucking try it. All right, everybody. Be safe. Be kind. Be good to each other.
Keep playing.
Keep playing, indeed. All right. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone, that's it for this week. Madison, thank you for coming by and doing the second pod with us. Sorry we couldn't get the first conversation up, but thank you for that conversation as well. It was a blast and a half each time. Thank you for the smoothie. It was frickin' delicious. Guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking, and thank you for being you. Unless you're a dick. Don't be a dick. Be nice. Life's short. Love you guys. Be kind. See ya.